my own space station. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 576, Physical Strength Increased. However, the brain's adaptability is quite strong, and soon his emotional and rational perceptions reconciled this conflict, so the subsequent tests became smoother and smoother. The first symbol test was conducted intermittently for 12 hours, covering many common fields in Blue Star and Dragon Country, Mr. Dongfang, please rest well today. We will conduct the second test tomorrow, Long San said. Pada, the seatbelts on Dongfang Chen's body have all been removed. Manglo will take you to the restaurant. After dinner, you can work out. You have been sitting here for too long and need to recover your strength, Long San said. After speaking, a road sign appeared in the virtual screen in front of him, with a door at the end of the road. This is because everything Dongfang Chen sees in front of him is a virtual screen. Without signs, he might bump into walls or fall under Manglo's guidance. Dongfang Chen arrived at the restaurant. Although it is called a restaurant, it is actually just some tables, and the hall is a mess. However, food has already been placed on one of the tables. Moreover, it is fresh food, transferred from Blue Star. Dongfang Chen knew at a glance that this was made by his own base. Yes, Manglo replied. Dongfang Chen nodded. I have to say, the program settings are quite humane. Dongfang Chen hadn't eaten anything for several days and had been relying on nutrient solutions to survive. Now, as soon as he saw the food, his stomach was rumbling. He was not polite and sat down and began to gobble it up. The table was set with a 3-person meal, and Dongfang Chen ate it all by himself, but he was still not full. Manglo brought over 3 more servings. He ate again, but still wasn't full. Dongfang Chen felt strange. He usually couldn't eat so much, which was obviously abnormal. Manglo, explain to me, what's going on? Dongfang Chen put down his chopsticks and looked at him. I'm sorry, Mr. Dongfang, I don't understand your question. Manglo seemed not to understand. Dongfang Chen glanced at him, picked up his chopsticks, and continued eating. Manglo is not a human and may not know how much a person can eat. He still had to ask Long San. He ate a full 15 servings for this meal. Although he was still not too full, he didn't dare to eat anymore after eating. He came to the gym. There were more than a dozen robots inside cleaning up, and it looked like it had just been built. These fitness equipment are very similar to those on Blue Star, and there is no learning curve. Dongfang Chen came to the treadmill, ready to run. First to warm up, huff, huff. As soon as he ran, he realized something was wrong. He was not good at running, but now he was doing it with ease. The treadmill belt was spinning very fast, and his legs had become a blur. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 20 kilometers in one breath, and he only felt a little sweaty. Something's not right. Something's very wrong. Didn't Long San say it was just a nerve implant? Why has my physical strength become stronger? He got off the treadmill and walked to a strange barbell. 50 kg, easily lifted. 60 kg, easily lifted. 80 kg, 100 kilograms, 200 kilograms, 400 kilograms. He finally lifted the upper limit weight of the barbell. 1,000 kilograms. And it didn't seem to be the upper limit. He had just felt that there was no need to configure so many weight plates for the barbell, but now he understood that it was because Long San knew that his physical strength had increased. It seems that the program here is playing tricks. Why don't they say it clearly, but play tricks in secret? Dongfang Chen didn't understand. He was no longer in the mood to work out and returned to the innermost office. Long San, explain to me, why has my physical strength increased? Dongfang Chen asked. There was some sense of questioning. Increasing physical strength was originally a good thing, but now that Dongfang Chen's cognitive ability has improved, he doesn't need to think to know that there is a big problem here. First of all, why hide it from him? Secondly, the improvement of physical strength cannot be without a price. Mr. Dongfang, isn't increasing physical strength a good thing? Long San smiled. Did you do something to me? Dongfang Chen asked. Mr. Dongfang, any operation we perform will be with your consent. Then explain this to me. Mars gravity is only 1/3 of Blue Star's, so you will think your strength has increased a lot. Long San explained. Even if it's only 1/3, it's impossible for me to lift a weight of more than 300 kilograms. Mr. Dongfang, have you ever thought that humans themselves actually possess such power? Long San still smiled. Dongfang Chen stopped talking, frowning and pondering the meaning of his words. He went through the things that had happened during this period and believed that the only place that might have had an impact on him should be inside Menka's spaceship. Chapter 577, Hiding Some Facts. He went over the events of the past few days, believing that the only place that could have affected him was inside Menka's spaceship because he completed his gene repair there. If Long San hadn't performed some secret operation on him, then the only place that could have changed his physique was there. Are you saying this is the result of gene repair? Dongfang Chen asked. That's right. Human physique is locked. Long San nodded. After comparison and analysis, the attached DNA fragment not only increases the risk of human viral infection, but also brings a series of related effects to the body. The most obvious features are, the human body's repairability is affected. The differentiation ability of stem cells is greatly weakened, and the regeneration ability is weakened, which leads to a great shortening of human lifespan. The physique is weakened, mainly because the human muscle groups are very unstable. As long as you don't use them, they will immediately degenerate. The optic nerve system is weakened, and the range of visible light is narrowed. After a long period of analysis, we believe that this is the most fundamental reason why they implanted this additional DNA. Or, the original purpose of this DNA was to modify the human perception range of light. What is their purpose in doing this? Dongfang Chen asked. Their purpose is naturally to conceal some facts. What facts? The Muni people's skin has stronger resistance to low-frequency ultraviolet light. Long San replied. Are you saying that the Muni people's skin is different from normal people's? Dongfang Chen quickly combined the points Long San said with reality. Yes. The skin color of normal people is the skin color you see, but the skin color of Muni people looks purple. In other words, before the human genes were modified, people could distinguish normal people from Muni people with the naked eye. The skin color of normal people is the normal color seen now, but the skin of Muni people looks purple. In that case, the Muni people would definitely have nowhere to hide and would soon be wiped out, so they adjusted the frequency range of human visible light by modifying genes, causing low-frequency ultraviolet light to become invisible light. In this case, the Muni people and normal people look like they have the same skin color to people, but it only looks like it if equipment is used. The difference can be detected. It's just that now almost everyone's genes have been tampered with, and even if there are one or two who have not been tampered with, they will be regarded as abnormal people. Understanding all of this, Dongfang Chen no longer hesitated and returned to the prepared room to sleep for the next 3 days. He was constantly undergoing cognitive tests just like taking exams when he was in school. The test questions covered a wide range and were of various types, but he basically completed them easily. Mr. Dongfang, so far, the test is considered complete. From the test results, there are no major problems. Of course, we will continue to pay attention in the future. This will be a long-term adaptation process, Long San said. Thank you, Dongfang Chen said politely. You're welcome. Next, we will proceed to the final step. The final step is authorization. After authorization, Dongfang Chen will obtain the highest control of the Mars base. This highest control only represents the authority to access all data within the Mars base, but it cannot completely control the entire base. Long San made it very clear to him that as long as the human breeding plan is not completely successful, then the mission of the Mars base will not be completed. Translated, it means that unless Dongfang Chen completely eliminates the remaining survivors of the Sirius star system, the base will continue to operate independently. If he can't do it, the base will continue to optimize the plan. Authorization only opens up permissions to him and no longer retains anything. Okay, Mr. Dongfang, please look ahead and look at the dancing butterfly. An electronic voice sounded. A yellow butterfly appeared in the office space, flying slowly. Data verification successful. Please read the text on the prompt board. A white prompt board appeared in front of him, with a passage written in black Chinese characters. Dongfang Chen read it aloud. Data verification successful. Please read the text on the prompt board again. The text on the white prompt board changed, and this time it displayed Dragon Kingdom characters. Dongfang Chen had completely mastered the Dragon Kingdom language and successfully completed the reading. Data verification successful. Loading authorization. Verifying authorization. Authorization successful. The Mars base had collected enough data, so the authorization process did not require additional operations. Mr. Dongfang, the database of the Mars base will be fully open to you. I hope you can succeed, Long San said with a smile. Don't worry, I will, Dongfang Chen replied. Chapter 578, Return to Blue Star. Mr. Dongfang, the Mars-based database will be fully open to you. I hope you succeed, Long San said with a smile. Don't worry, I will, Dongfang Chen replied. Dongfang Chen had been here for 4 days, and now it was time to go back. He stepped onto the teleportation platform. The transparent the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. The hood is the hood, the hood is the hood, the hood is the hood. Json. Chapter 579 Biorobot. They are increasing troops on the western shore of the Black Sea under the guise of military exercises. I think they will definitely take action ahead of schedule, Dongfang Chen said. Then what is your suggestion? Tuchus asked. OK, Hyong's attack on Mado is also a considerable help to himself. However, they are not trustworthy, and how to make use of them is also a headache. I think it's best to wait for them to move first. Once they go to war with Mado, you can take action. Otherwise, if you act rashly, and OK Hyong turns his guns on you, the situation will be very bad, Dongfang Chen replied. But what if they don't act? Tuchus asked. If everyone doesn't act, wouldn't that benefit Mado? Then be prepared for a two-front war. OK Hyong will have to be on guard. Okay, I understand. Well, that's all the information I can provide. Good luck to you. Thank you. After hanging up the phone, Dongfang Chen called Niu Xingwang again. Mr. Dongfang, brother Niu, what's the matter with the diplomatic note from the United States of America? It's like this. They also want to purchase the kind of warships from DE, and they want to entrust us to build some underground bases. Dongfang Chen narrowed his eyes. How did the United States of America know that the warships of DE were produced by him, and also know that he has the ability to build underground bases? This matter is probably revealed by Pushin Xiaolin. You reply to them, as long as there are enough crystal cores, these are not problems, Dongfang Chen replied. Then what about their request to visit? Niu Xingwang asked. They can come, Dongfang Chen replied. Can't come? Okay, I'll take care of it. The United States of America is blocked. They have no ability to go out. The phone hung up. Xiaolin, has there been anything unusual about the warships of DE recently? Commander, these days, their warships have been stationed in Damascus, and there is nothing unusual. Have you monitored any useful information? Dongfang Chen asked. No. However, Pushin Xiaolin left the day before yesterday. Pushin Xiaolin should have returned to the Elder Hall of Mado since she went back. It means that she must have received some kind of instruction. With instructions, there must be action. Since this is the case, then let's wait and see. What is the situation in Australia now? Their technology is very advanced. Our robot legions have been attacked and damaged north of Tatila in the south. Tasman's technology is of course advanced. They once built near light-speed spaceships, which should be the most advanced civilization in the solar system after the extinction of mankind. Is there any combat video? Dongfang Chen asked. He wanted to see what kind of form the Tasman civilization was. Yes, soon Xiaolin played the recorded footage of the battle on the screen. Buzzing, a group of black things, not knowing whether they were insects or robots, flew quickly in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Chirp chirp chirp, chirp chirp chirp. The simulated spider robots opened fire first because of their small size. They were directly torn apart after being hit. Are these insects or robots? Dongfang Chen asked. After analysis, this should be a kind of biorobot, Xiaolin replied. Explain in detail. The robot you are seeing now is a mechanized modification based on insects. Most of the components in the body have become mechanical components and weapons have been added. Dongfang Chen frowned. Now his head is much better than before, and he immediately discovered the problem. These insects are definitely not obtained through semi-mechanized transformation. The reason is very simple. The cost of transformation is very high. A 20 cm B can only integrate a single attack weapon, and the power will not be very great if they want to exert combat effectiveness. They can only take the form of group attacks, just like Dongfang Chen designed the simulated spider robot. If the transformation cost of a single robot is too high, it will not have the conditions for mass production. Moreover, this kind of semi-biological and semi-mechanical thing has a fatal flaw, that is, it has a shelf life after the death of the organism. It loses the ability to repair, and its exoskeleton will also rot. On this case, the cost of transforming an insect is even higher. If it were him, he would not spend time and energy to engage in this kind of thing with many shortcomings. Now that it does appear, it shows one point: the transformation cost of these insects is extremely low, or there is no cost at all. What is the material of the mechanical parts on them? After analysis, it is a kind of organic alloy. Xiaolin replied, the so-called organic alloy refers to a material that exhibits the characteristics of metal in hardness, toughness, and even luster, but the microstructure is the same as organic matter. Belonging to polymer materials. Dongfang Chen touched his chin and thought quietly. He already had some guesses. This kind of insect is not transformed, but born like this. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 580, Huatuang Chamber of Commerce Reshuffle. His speculation was based on the composition of the mechanical components. Although organic alloys can also be mass-produced, the cost is high and does not fit the current application scenarios. The most ideal way is to grow directly into this form. Organic alloys also conform to the logic of biological synthesis. Monka, do you have any way to deal with these Tasmanian insects? Dongfang Chen asked. Of course. Who do you think I am? Monka replied proudly. Speak. Monka was depressed after Dongfang Chen returned from Mars. He became a donkey face. Although she knew that Dongfang Chen's consciousness had been modified, she just felt uncomfortable. This is the difference between having emotions and not having emotions, like Xiaolin. She couldn't detect these things at all. However, despite feeling uncomfortable, she had to obey the instructions from the Mars base. They are very sensitive to temperature. Judging from the current climate on Blue Star, they shouldn't be able to hop around for many days. Monka replied. Dongfang Chen nodded. Currently, the southern hemisphere is in summer. Although the temperature is a bit lower than usual, it is still barely acceptable. In another 2 or 3 months, the temperature in Australia will start to drop, and they will probably have to rest. I want to transfer them to the West Asia region. Do you have any way? Dongfang Chen asked. Transfer them to West Asia? How is that possible? The temperature there is too low now. They can't survive at all, Monka said, indicating that there was no way. Dongfang Chen wanted to use the Tasmanian insects to attack Nata University, but this idea was difficult to achieve. The biggest problem is the geographical location. Australia and West Asia are too far apart, and those insects can't get there at all. India and Pakistan are also in the way. India and Pakistan. Dongfang Chen suddenly thought of this country that had been ignored. He immediately called Touchus of Iguala, Mr. Dongfang, Mr. Touchus, I have a question I want to ask you, Dongfang Chen said directly. Please speak. How much do you know about India and Pakistan? I'm sorry, I don't know much about it, Touchus replied. Iguala and India-Pakistan do not border each other, and Nata University is in between. Okay, I understand, thank you, you're welcome. He pondered for a moment and called Niu Xingwang again. Brother Niu, submit a diplomatic note to India and Pakistan and send someone to understand the situation. Okay, Mr. Dongfang, U.S. Secretary of Defense Maxine wants to speak with you. Do you want to refuse? Niu Xingwang asked. Incidentally, reply that I'm not at the base, Dongfang Chen said. Okay. After finishing the accumulated work, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Dongfang Chen took a glass of water and sat down on the chair to rest. Xiaolin introduced the situation in China. Okay, Commander. Since the warships that visited Iguala set off, 38 branch heads of the Chamber of Commerce have been assassinated within 2 days. A total of 762 other middle-level managers have been killed or injured. As soon as Dongfang Chen heard this, he knew that this was a premeditated assassination. Dongfang Chen deliberately revealed the visit to Iguala to Old Qin, and it seemed that there was a chain reaction. It seems that there are many eyes in China staring at his every move at all times. As soon as he moved his nest, nearly 800 people from the Huatuang Chamber of Commerce died. Which was too exaggerated. The number of internal spies is evident. Have you tracked down the assassins or the masterminds behind them? Almost none. They deliberately avoided the mercenary guild's communication system, Xiaolin replied. What is Gu Qingyi's reaction? Dongfang Chen asked curiously. She has established a co-investigation team within the Chamber of Commerce to assist the Public Security Department in investigating the assassination. At the same time, she received instructions from the council to arrange new personnel for the vacant positions. Public Security Department. Dongfang Chen rarely heard the name of this department. Yes, the Public Security Department. Xiaolin didn't know that Dongfang Chen was talking to himself. It cannot be ruled out that someone is taking the opportunity to eliminate dissidents and arrange their own people to take over behind this assassination. There must be a contest between multiple forces. These people can act so recklessly, which shows that their positions are extremely high. Dongfang Chen believed that Old Qin deliberately revealed this information, and there must be a follow-up. He doesn't need to worry too much about it himself. Mark these newly appointed people and pay special attention to them. Okay, Commander. After finishing the business, Dongfang Chen thought of another thing. Dial Old Qin's phone. Okay, Commander. Hey. Why can't I get through to your phone again these past few days? Old Qin answered the phone and started spraying directly. Old Qin, I'm sorry, I've caught a cold again these past few days. Do you think I believe that? Speak. What's the matter? Old Qin said unhappily. Have the people arrived? They've arrived. They arrived yesterday. I can tell you in advance that these are my people and will not take your work. Hang up. Beep beep beep. Chapter 581, Couple Reunion. The person Dongfang Chen was talking about was Zhang Yuanke. Bailey Ji asked Chen Wengang to pass on a message, the purpose of which was to find him inside the parliament building, in the speaker's office. Guildmaster Xiansha, you are really hard to find, Bailey Ji said with a smile. Speaker, I am no longer the guildmaster now, Zhang Yuanke replied. No. You will always be the guildmaster of the mercenary guild. Although you have resigned now, the position of guildmaster will always be vacant, Bailey Ji said solemnly. Speaker, Zhang Yuanke was most afraid of others praising him too much, otherwise, it would be really difficult for him to handle any requests made later. Come, let me introduce you to someone. Bailey Ji didn't wait for him to explain anything and directly pulled him in front of Old Qin. This is Old Qin, Chief. Hello. Although Zhang Yuanke was no longer a soldier, he didn't know what was the appropriate way to address him. So he could only give a military salute. You used to be a soldier. Old Qin looked over with a sharp gaze. Yes, Zhang Yuanke was at a loss for words and could only admit it. Which military region were you in? What was the unit designation? Old Qin asked. Southeast Military Region, Kingshao Military District. Cooking Platoon, Zhang Yuanke replied. Dongfang Chen had altered his records. Old Qin knew it was fake, but he didn't care. Old Qin already knew his real name, but because the original data had been tampered with, other information was now difficult to distinguish between true and false. However, Old Qin didn't mind, knowing that this was Dongfang Chen's doing originally. If he wanted to employ someone, he would have to investigate their ancestors for several generations. But the situation is different now, and fake is better. Fake is more concealed. Xiansha, you will follow me during this period, Old Qin said. Qin. Old Qin, you said the person I was looking for has been found. Is it true? Zhang Yuanke didn't express his stance but asked a question he was concerned about. Oh, Bailey Ji mentioned this matter. You can ask him. Old Qin looked at Bailey Ji. Speaker, Zhang Yuanke was a little excited. Xiansha, your real name is Zhang Yuanke, right? Bailey Ji asked. Zhang Yuanke nodded silently. He knew that this matter had been exposed. Since Bailey Ji knew that he was looking for someone, he would definitely know his name because the person he was looking for was his wife. Alright, let's talk about your lover first. Bailey Ji nodded and didn't ask further. Zhang Yuanke stared at Bailey Ji. He had entrusted this matter to one of his comrades. This comrade went to the Kingshao City Public Security Bureau after retiring from the army. Later, when Zhang Yuanke became the guildmaster of the mercenary guild, this matter was reported. So, Bailey Ji knew Zhang Yuanke's identity a few months ago. Your lover, Shen Huang, her real name is Lan Jinghong, Bailey Ji said, dropping a bombshell right away. Zhang Yuanke's head buzzed as soon as he heard the beginning. A fake name. He couldn't believe it. They had even obtained a marriage certificate and they had a lovely daughter. She is not some rural woman with a junior high school education, but a PhD from Russia and a top materials science expert in China, Bailey Ji said. Huff. Zhang Yuanke took a deep breath. As long as she wasn't some kind of spy, that would be good. He knew that many projects in China were confidential and it was normal not to reveal them to the public, and he could understand that. 5 years ago, the United States of America formulated a secret assassination plan, targeting top experts in various industries in China and Russia. Because your lover had experience studying in Russia, Her information was leaked and she was also on the assassination list, so, your lover is not irresponsible, nor did she run away from home, nor did she disappear from the world, Bailey G explained. Then where's she now? Zhang Yuanke asked. She arrived earlier than you, Bailey G said with a smile. Come in. Bailey G shouted. The door opened. A middle-aged woman walked in somewhat embarrassedly. Zhang Yuanke looked towards the door. Wei Ying. Zhang Yuanke was very excited, with tears glistening in his eyes. Yuanke, Lan Jinghong was also very excited and wanted to explain. Zhang Yuanke walked up to her in a few steps and hugged her tightly. No need to say anything. It's good that you're safe. It's good that you're safe. Lan Jinghong couldn't hold back any longer, and tears streamed down her face. Yuanke, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Alright, what are you apologizing for? We're reunited now. Zhang Yuanke patted her back and comforted her. If it were in the past, Zhang Yuanke wouldn't have dared to say these words. He would rather not meet, not reunite, and definitely hope that his lover could be safe. But it's different now. The United States of America. They should take care of themselves first. There was another reason why Bailey G was able to reveal this to him. Most of China's scientific research projects have been suspended. One is because there are no longer any conditions for scientific research, and the other is because even if China studies for another 200 years, it will not be able to catch up with the technology mastered by Dongfang Chen. So, why is old Qin so tolerant of Dongfang Chen? That's because Dongfang Chen determines the future of China. Chapter 582. The times are choosing. Especially the establishment of hundreds of underground survival bases nationwide completely reversed the fate of Hua country. Looking at the whole world, no one else could do it. Bailey G readily presented this great gift, and Zhang Yuanque would definitely be endlessly grateful. However, Bailey G had no intention of trying to win him over, nor was it necessary to win him over. What he needed was a closer relationship with the Xiaolin neutral zone. This was also Elder Qin's request. The baton of Hua country will eventually be passed on to the hands of young people, and the person who takes this baton can only be Dongfang Chen. These were Elder Qin's original words to Bailey G. Given Bailey G's age, if it were peacetime, the time for a change of leadership would have already passed. However, according to the wartime military preparedness regulations, after the country enters a state of emergency, the change of leadership is suspended until the end of the state of emergency. So Bailey G worked for an extra year. Elder Qin said that if the person taking the baton was not Dongfang Chen, then the Xiaolin neutral zone might secede at that time. At that time, Hua country's situation would be different. So it wasn't a matter of someone deliberately choosing, but rather the times were choosing. Zhang Yuanque chatted with Lan Jinghong about family matters and temporarily left because Elder Qin still had serious matters to discuss. Tian Shan, in the mercenary guild, is there anyone you trust? Elder Qin asked. Chief, call me Elder Qin. Yes, Elder Qin. Frankly speaking, the people in the mercenary guild are all recruited locally, and I am not very familiar with them. Zhang Yuanque shook his head. Not even one. Elder Qin frowned. No. Zhang Yuanque nodded affirmatively. Elder Qin was preparing to form another secret team to form two sharp swords, one overt and one covert. With Shen Wengang originally, the Dark Knight Squad was the most suitable to undertake this task. However, the members of the Dark Knight Squad were all recruited from the public, and the risk factor was relatively high. Instead of spending the effort to investigate, it would be better to rebuild a team. Zhang Yuanque, like Niuzing Wang, belonged to Dongfang Chen's core team, and the safety factor was the highest. But now, as soon as they met, they encountered a problem. Zhang Yuanque didn't even have a trustworthy subordinate, which greatly disappointed him. He even doubted Zhang Yuanque's leadership ability. How about this? You settle down Xiaolin first, and we'll discuss this matter later, Elder Qin said. Yes. Zhang Yuanque saluted and left. Elder Qin. Bailey G frowned and said, I'll make a phone call first. Elder Qin sighed. He took out his phone and called Dongfang Chen. Hello, Elder Qin. What's wrong? Could poach anyone, Dongfang Chen said sarcastically. How come Zhang Yuanque is a lone commander? Elder Qin wasn't in the mood for jokes. Yes, Dongfang Chen replied. Such a large mercenary guild, and you only arranged one person. Elder Qin didn't believe it. One is enough, Dongfang Chen replied. Arrange 20 mutants for him. Elder Qin directly made his request. Dongfang Chen knew that Elder Qin was planning to clean up the management team of Hua country, and also knew that his plan was unlikely to succeed. Hua country is now a pool of muddy water that cannot be filtered clean. Okay, Dongfang Chen agreed directly, knowing that it wouldn't succeed. Why agree? Still, the water has to be stirred constantly to give the enemy something to do. Uncertainty can stabilize the situation. It's like betting on heads or tails with a coin. Everything is possible when it's spinning. Unless you're sure of getting the side you want, don't let it stop. These 20 people must be cautious, Elder Qin emphasized. Don't worry, Dongfang Chen replied. Then that's it. Elder Qin hung up the phone. Zhang Yuankui definitely wouldn't want to leave Lanjinghong in the country. The risk factor was too high. Niu Xingwang arranged for a plane to take them to Bado City. Now there are only 25 Special Forces members left in the Bado City base. If they were assigned to Zhang Yuankui, the base would have no one available. The training of the second batch of Special Forces members was imminent. Now the conditions in Bado City are much better than last year, and it is entirely possible to do it on a larger scale this time. He didn't issue a task to the lurkers, but instead gave it to Niu Xingwang. He planned to recruit 3,000 people in Bado City and 6,000 people in Hua Country. The recruitment task in Hua Country was entrusted to the Huatuang Chamber of Commerce. No matter what role Gu Chengyu played, she would not refuse this plum job. This was a good opportunity to place people. As soon as the announcement was issued, the whole country went crazy. Everyone was eager to try. Preparing to compete for a spot, Dongfang Chen drafted some conditions, mainly limiting height, weight, endurance, explosive power and other key indicators. Niu Xingwang would arrange the rest, and he didn't need to worry about it. His most important task was to establish a gene repair cabin in the Lopner transit station. From now on, he would repair all the core team members. Chapter 583, Super Long Underground Communication Tunnel. Commander, Mr. Will of the Austro-Hungarian Empire is on the line again, Xiaolin reminded. Okay, put him through, Dongfang Chen said. Dongfang Chen had been deliberately delaying his response to Will, planning to keep them in suspense. He intended to use them to probe the depths of Mado Da's strength. Mr. Dongfang, the military exercise is scheduled for 2 p.m. China time, at Istanbul on the west coast of the Black Sea. Will said Istanbul is located in the border area between the Austro-Hungarian Empire and Mado Da. 2 p.m. in China is around 8 a.m. local time. I'm sorry, Mr. Will, I don't plan to participate in the military exercise, Dongfang Chen said. Mr. Dongfang, didn't we already discuss this last time? Will said anxiously. Last time we only said we would discuss it further, but now I've changed my mind. Why? I know nothing about the situation in Mado Da, so doing this is too risky, Dongfang Chen said. Risk exists for everyone, but if we cooperate sincerely, we can reduce that risk. Will tried to persuade him. Sorry, I don't want to take that risk. Dongfang Chen didn't budge. If our attack fails, I'm afraid there will be no force in this world to restrain them, and humanity will be destroyed. Will's tone became a bit cold. So I suggest you cancel the plan and not do something you're not sure of. You can name your conditions. Will conceded this was already very obvious. The Austro-Hungarian Empire's plan to attack Mado Da was firm, even at some cost. I need more intelligence, Dongfang Chen said. We've tried many times, but there's no way to get intelligence out, so that further illustrates the high level of danger. Without intelligence, I'm afraid I can't risk it. Dongfang Chen was firm. How about this? We can provide you with some conveniences. You can go and try. Will followed his lead. There's no need to send people over. I can provide you with some technical support, and you can arrange for people to investigate, Dongfang Chen suggested. You? Alright. Will was very dissatisfied, feeling it was a contempt for them. But in order to make Dongfang Chen give up, he reluctantly agreed. In fact, the closest place to reach the heart of Mado Da is the Aksu region of Xinjiang. It's only about 1,000 kilometers away from the central area of Mado Da, but if you were to enter from the Austro-Hungarian direction, the distance would exceed 3,000 kilometers. However, Dongfang Chen couldn't do this himself because he still had to play a neutral role once involved in the war. Many things would become inconvenient to do from the current situation. It was most appropriate for the Austro-Hungarian Empire to do this. The deeper the conflict between them and Mado Da, the more beneficial it would be for humanity. Okay, that's settled then. The items will be delivered soon. Today is January 17th, 2057, with only 14 days left until the Mado Da Grand Sacrifice ceremony. In order to improve the efficiency of the investigation, Dongfang Chen specially sent 3 warships and a full load of crystal cores. He was preparing to make a feint to the east while attacking in the west, under the guise of supporting the Austro-Hungarian Empire in investigating Mado Da. He would build an ultra-long underground communication tunnel spanning West Asia and the Middle East in segments. This would solve Mado Da's signal shielding problem. But how could this project be completed in just 14 days? The only way was to deploy a large number of queen bees and carry out the construction in segmented stages. If the deployment of the queen bees went smoothly, Dongfang Chen was confident that he could complete this groundbreaking feat within 7 days. The principle of the project was very simple, but there were 2 points that were more difficult to operate. 1. How to deploy. Nata would definitely not allow the Austro-Hungarian warships to roam freely, and they would be easily destroyed. 2. How to coordinate. The deployed queen bees would not be able to contact the supercomputing center due to signal shielding. Without remote control, unified scheduling would be impossible. Dongfang Chen had already thought of a solution to the deployment problem. He could make use of the Great Sun Nation's warships. As for how to coordinate, he could only use a clumsy method: plan the tunnel route in advance, number the queen bees, and set the section each queen bee was responsible for. Have the adjacent 2 queen bees complete the docking by shaking hands, so that the entire communication line would be connected, but doing so created a new problem in the middle. If a certain queen bee was not deployed successfully, or was captured during the deployment process, then the entire line would not be able to connect. In order to solve this problem, the number of queen bees needed to be increased by a margin of 100%. For example, if 500 queen bees were originally needed, with each queen bee responsible for 6 kilometers, then 1,000 queen bees would be deployed now, requiring each to be responsible for only 3 kilometers. If a certain queen bee in the middle could not work normally, then it would skip over it and contact the next queen bee. In this way, even if some queen bees were lost in the middle, it would not affect the overall progress of the project. Chapter 584. Are you a 3-year-old child? The signal relay base for the communication tunnel can only be set up in Egola. He believed that Techis would not object to this. An hour later, Xiaolin had already drawn up the communication tunnel plan. Communication tunnel plan. It can be seen from the diagram that to cover the entire Mado territory, the total length of the communication tunnel to be built reaches a terrifying 12,943 kilometers. The number of miniature queen bees that need to be deployed is more than 4,300. It is not an easy task to smoothly deploy so many queen bees near the designated communication lines. Neither Akshung nor Egola can fly openly in Mado's airspace. The only thing that can be used is the Great Sun Nation's warship. Dongfang Chen only had one card in his hand, which was that he had not completely fallen out with Kamada Sayako. Kamada Sayako stayed in the Jinxin Hall for one night, thinking that he was capable now. Mado also thought that he was capable now, even if he wasn't. Within Mado's sphere of influence, eavesdropping devices were useless, so Dongfang Chen's orders could be ignored. He did not openly betray Dongfang Chen, but was waiting for an opportunity in case Dongfang Chen learned about the sacrificial ceremony and planned to sabotage it. Then after he knew the plan, he could turn against him at a critical moment, so that he could maximize his benefits. Dongfang Chen didn't expose him because the Mayans lived on the warship, and he could still make good use of him before he turned against him. Since Kamada Sayako would not turn hostile before the sacrificial ceremony, then in theory, he would still carry out Dongfang Chen's orders, which meant he could be mobilized. The difficulties now actually lie in 3 points. First, how to get more than 4,000 queen bees onto the Great Sun Nation's warship. Second, why should the Great Sun Nation's warship fly around in Mado's airspace? Third, how to keep it secret or avoid arousing Mado's suspicion. Commander, Niu Xingwang requests to speak. Answer it, Mr. Dongfang. The Yinba Nation has replied, agreeing to this meeting. Okay, let K Liquan go. Depart immediately. Understood. The Yinba Nation's reply came at the right time. Dongfang Chen had already found a reason to mobilize the Great Sun Nation's warship. Moreover, if the matter was handled well, it might be possible to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. After hanging up the phone, he called Kamada Sayako. Mr. Dongfang. Kamada Sayako was still very respectful. Kamada Sayako, you are getting more and more capable. You didn't even tell me about such a big military mobilization. Dongfang Chen questioned. Mr. Dongfang, I don't understand what you mean. Kamada Sayako pretended not to know. Since Dongfang Chen had said before that the warship was a reward for the Great Sun Nation, then Kamada Sayako had the right to mobilize it freely, so he had the confidence to speak. Egola sent a message questioning us for trespassing in their territorial waters. Are you saying I should take the blame or not? Dongfang Chen asked. Mr. Dongfang, how can you say that? I have already communicated with them, and they have also allowed our request to pass through. Kamada Sayako explained. Dongfang Chen, without blushing or panting, continued, they think your actions are supported by me behind the scenes. This, should I explain it to them? Kamada Sayako tentatively asked. Are you a 3-year-old child? Do you think they will believe you if you say so? If explanations were useful, what would we need weapons for? Dongfang Chen directly retorted the current situation was that the more you retorted him, the less you took him seriously, the more he would think that all of this was real, and that things were still within his control. You're right. So what should we do now? Kamada Sayako took a deep breath and asked, if I remember correctly, Damashija should be within Mato's sphere of influence, right? What are you going there for, Mr. Dongfang? I dare not disobey the orders of the elders of the Morning sect, Kamada Sayako replied. Then why didn't you report this matter to me? You said that matters unrelated to you or the Xiaolin neutral zone do not need to be reported, Kamada Sayako explained. From Kamada Sayako's perspective, he wasn't sure if Dongfang Chen knew about the upcoming sacrificial ceremony in Mato. Kamada Sayako had never reported this situation, so he couldn't mention it now either. Why does the Elders Hall want you to move the warship over there? Dongfang Chen asked. Sorry, Mr. Dongfang, I'm not sure at the moment, Kamada Sayako replied. Anyway, he would just insist that he didn't know. And Dongfang Chen couldn't do anything to him. Was it wrong to not know? Obviously not. Investigate it as soon as possible, Dongfang Chen reprimanded sternly. Yes, do you know about Aksheng holding military exercises? This, Kamada Sayako was speechless. Dongfang Chen coldly snorted. Kamada Sayako's mind raced. Should he say he knew or didn't know? He couldn't make up his mind for a moment when he returned to the Elders Hall the day before yesterday. The elders also mentioned this matter because the Aksheng Federation also invited Mato. Will said very clearly that there were only two countries invited, Mato and the Xiaolin neutral zone. Chapter 585, The acting is quite real. I apologize, Mr. Dongfang. I only heard the elder mention this matter briefly and am not very clear about it, Pushin Xiaozido replied vaguely, not having time to think it over carefully. Don't they suspect your identity? There was some suspicion, but after I transferred the warship over, their doubts were dispelled. Pushin Xiaozido couldn't say there was no suspicion. That would sound too fake. Two things I need you to take care of immediately. Please instruct me. First, according to reliable intelligence, the Mato Grand Plan is holding a sacrificial ceremony. Find out the specific time and true purpose of the ceremony. Second, find out the true purpose of the OKK Hun's military exercises as soon as possible. In particular, find out if their military exercises are related to the sacrificial ceremony. Dongfang Chen mixed truth and falsehood together. On the surface, he was asking him to complete the task, but in reality, he was giving him many subtle hints. Yes, Pushin Xiaozido replied after ending the call. Pushin Xiaozido rushed to the Elder Hall. Elder, what do you think is the most appropriate response? Pushin Xiaozido told him about the tasks that Dongfang Chen had assigned him. This matter is not that simple, the elder said. Pushin Xiaozido nodded, listening carefully. The time for the OKK Hun's military exercises is exactly 1 day before the sacrificial ceremony. Their purpose is self-evident. If Dongfang Chen knows about this, he will definitely make a big deal out of it. Then I'll reply to him that this is just an ordinary sacrificial activity. Pushin Xiaozido asked, Fool. The OKK Hun Federation's invitation clearly mentioned that the Xiaolin neutral zone was also invited. If the purpose of the military exercise is to take the opportunity to deal with us, do you think Dongfang Chen would know nothing about the sacrificial ceremony? The elder asked back. Disciple is foolish. Pushin Xiaozido understood the OKK Huns invited Dongfang Chen, so they would inevitably mention the sacrificial ceremony, so Dongfang Chen must know, but he just can't figure out how much he knows. There's one more thing you may not be aware of. A holy son has betrayed the holy church. So the sacrificial ceremony may have been leaked long ago, so Dongfang Chen is just testing me. Pushin Xiaozido realized, that must be the case. The elder nodded. Then what should we do next? Please instruct me, elder. Reveal some information to him, especially exaggerate the threat the ceremony poses to them as much as possible. It's best to guide him to participate in the military exercise, so that we can wipe them out all at once. Yes, elder, I understand. Pushin Xiaozido saluted and left around 8 o'clock in the evening. Pushin Xiaozido returned to Damascus and immediately contacted Dongfang Chen. Mr. Dongfang, I have investigated everything, Pushin Xiaozido said. You're putting on quite the act. Dongfang Chen scolded sarcastically. Do. Mr. Dongfang, I don't understand what you mean, Pushin Xiaozido stammered, his heart sinking. He wasn't afraid of what Dongfang Chen would do to him, but he was worried that he would be exposed too early and unable to complete the Elder Hall's mission. Did you know this all along, or did you just investigate it? Dongfang Chen asked. Dongfang, please believe me, I really just investigated this matter, Pushin Xiaozido said respectfully. Then tell me, what have you investigated? Dongfang Chen's tone was like interrogating a prisoner. Pushin Xiaozido already understood that this was a test, so if there wasn't some substance inside, he would inevitably be exposed. It's like this, Mr. Dongfang. The true purpose of the OKK Hun's military exercises may be to disrupt the model grand sacrificial ceremony. Well, good, you've successfully saved your little life. Continue. Dongfang Chen's tone softened a little. Huff. Pushin Xiaozido took a deep breath. Considering this hurdle passed, the true purpose of the model grand sacrificial ceremony may be to advance in level. Advance in level? What do you mean? Dongfang Chen asked. It is said that there is a mysterious scripture within the church called the Myriad Laws Scripture. The scripture records that if an esper wants to advance to the 5th rank, they need to break through the shackles through a mysterious ritual. Myriad Laws Scripture. This was the second time Dongfang Chen had heard of this mysterious scripture. The last time was during the interrogation of a red-robed holy envoy who attacked the southwest military region, which he learned unintentionally. That holy envoy confessed that there were 5 mysterious scriptures in the red-robed church, and the Myriad Laws Scripture was one of them. And the summoning art originated from there. It's just that even that holy envoy didn't know that these scriptures actually came from the Manichaean church. Dongfang Chen wasn't that curious about these things anymore. In his opinion, these were all nonsense. What bullshit. Myriad Laws Scripture, a deception. Scripture was more like a heathen motto, and these Manichaeans themselves don't know that what they do every day is to destroy everyone, including themselves. And as for whether the so-called sacrificial ceremony can break through to the 5th rank, let's not talk about that for now. The serious survivors are guiding them to do these things, and they must have other purposes. If things aren't handled well, something bad might happen to humanity. Chapter 586, Taking Advantage of the Situation. That's right, the Myriad Laws Sutra. It is said that once a meta-human breaks through to Tier 5, their abilities will undergo a qualitative leap, Koyako Kamida affirmed. How much of a leap? Dongfang Chen asked. One person can destroy a country. This was something he made up to exaggerate the danger of the sacrificial ceremony. Is the information accurate? Dongfang Chen asked seriously. He was preparing to feign compliance. Absolutely accurate, Koyako Kamida replied solemnly, secretly pleased. It was good that he was taking the bait. You've done well. This matter must be stopped, or everyone will suffer. Please give your orders. The Akshung plan is to launch a surprise attack on Mado during the military exercises. Your mission is to cooperate with their actions, Dongfang Chen said. So, Dongfang Chen really knows the true purpose of the military exercises. Koyako Kamida's eyes lit up. Koyako Kamida understood that Dongfang Chen was going to great lengths to test him. And now, he had passed the test. Mr. Dongfang, we are currently stationed in Damascus under orders, and it may be inconvenient to take action, Koyako Kamida said. Feigning difficulty. Agreeing too readily would seem unreasonable. That's your problem. I don't care. I give you 24 hours to lead the fleet to Istanbul and await further instructions, Dongfang Chen said sternly. This, Koyako Kamida did not answer immediately. You will bear the consequences if you fail, Dongfang Chen added. Yes, Koyako Kamida replied. Dongfang Chen, just wait, I'll make you wish you were dead. After hanging up the phone, Koyako Kamida revealed a sinister smile. He thought Dongfang Chen had taken the bait, but little did he know that the hook was caught in his own behind. Immediately, Koyako Kamida hurried to the Council of Elders. There was no other way to communicate. Meanwhile, the 3 warships arranged by Dongfang Chen, fully loaded with crystal cores and the Queen Bee, had also passed through the airspace of the Oris Republic and arrived in the Akshung Federation. General Wheel, I need you to prepare 27 warships. Dongfang Chen contacted Wheel and said, What? Mr. Dongfang, you're going too far. Do you think Akshung's warships are blown in by the wind? Wheel roared angrily. He had previously promised Dongfang Chen that he could provide some convenience for gathering information on Mado, but the cost of 27 warships was too great. He had no doubt that once these warships entered Mado, they would be doomed. If these warships are damaged, I can compensate you, Dongfang Chen said. No, no, no. Our soldiers cannot be sacrificed at will either. Wheel's tone softened a little, but he still disagreed. They can be remotely piloted. No one needs to be inside, Dongfang Chen explained. What? No one needed? Then what do you need these warships for? Don't forget, once they enter Mado, these warships will lose control, Wheel reminded in surprise. I have my uses, Dongfang Chen said. Are you sure you can compensate? Will asked if no one was needed and the warships could be compensated, then it didn't matter anyway, there was no loss, he could do whatever he wanted, sure. And I can install protective shields for you, Dongfang Chen replied very confidently. Okay. Tell me, what do you want to do? As soon as Will heard that he would also get energy shields, he no longer hesitated. In a few hours, the warships of the Great Sun Nation will arrive in Istanbul. I hope that before that, the 27 warships you prepared can be in place and docked with the warships I send, Dongfang Chen said. The warships of the Great Sun Nation? You're confusing me. Will didn't quite understand. They are my subordinates, Dongfang Chen replied. I see. In that case, why do I still need to cooperate with you? Will asked. They have their own mission, Dongfang Chen replied. I understand. Will nodded. That's it then. Dongfang Chen was about to hang up the phone. Mr. Dongfang, let me emphasize again, don't forget our agreement, Will reminded. I won't, Dongfang Chen said and hung up the call. Inside the Council of Elders. Elder, Dongfang Chen was indeed testing me. He is indeed aware of the purpose of Akshan's military exercises, Koyako Kamada reported. Did he take the bait? The elder asked. I think he definitely took the bait, Koyako Kamada replied. What you think is not important, the facts are important, the elder corrected. The elder is right. Dongfang Chen gave me an order to go to Istanbul, Koyako Kamada added in his opinion. Dongfang Chen giving this order meant that he had taken the bait. If he didn't plan to get involved in this mess, he wouldn't have sent him there. It seems they plan to join forces to deal with us. The elder nodded. Yes. So what do we do next? Koyako Kamada asked. Of course, we'll play along and see what their plan is, the elder said. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 587, Warships can be released. Of course, we'll use their plan against them. Let's see what they're up to, the elder said. Understood, elder, Pushin Xiaoe who respectfully replied with a bow. Take this with you and report any developments immediately. The elder produced a communicator, similar to an old-fashioned feature phone. Thank you, elder, Pushin Xiaoe who quickly stepped forward and accepted it with both hands. This communicator only has messaging functionality. It cannot make calls. Do not let anyone else see it besides yourself. Disciple will keep that in mind. You may go. January 19, 2057, Pushin Xiaoe who ordered the warship to set sail early in the morning, heading towards Istanbul. The direct distance between Damascus and Istanbul is just over 1,000 kilometers, which can be reached in an hour and a half at 8:30 a.m. The Great Sun Nation warship arrived at the designated area. Pushin Xiaoe who looked out the window and saw many warships already docked there. Judging from their appearance, they must belong to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Something's not right. In the far distance, there were also 3 warships with completely different designs. He was very familiar with this design. It was very similar to his own warship, both with a trapezoidal block structure that was narrow in the front and wide in the back without a doubt. These were sent by Dongfang Chen. Could Dongfang Chen be in Istanbul? Pushin Xiaoe who wondered to verify his guess. Pushin Xiaoe who called him directly. Mr. Dongfang, I have arrived at the designated area. Did you arouse any suspicion from the Elders' Hall? Dongfang Chen asked. I reported the situation to the Elders' Hall truthfully. The Elders' intention is for me to use their plan against them. Pushin Xiaoe answered honestly. He had to say it this way, otherwise, lying and saying that he hadn't attracted the Elders' Hall's attention would be too unbelievable. Then will you use their plan against them? Dongfang Chen asked with a meaningful tone. Once this delicate veil was pierced, Pushin Xiaoe who could openly engage in underhanded activities. Dongfang Chen's question was an encouragement for him to openly engage in such activities. Mr. Dongfang, please rest assured, my life is in your hands. How could I betray you? Pushin Xiaoe who declared. I doubt you dare. This matter is of great importance, so you'd better not try to be clever, Dongfang Chen threatened. I wouldn't dare, Pushin Xiaoe who replied. Do you see those warships parked to the west? Are you referring to the Austro-Hungarian warships? That's right. Send some people over to operate those warships, Dongfang Chen said. Operate those warships? Mr. Dongfang, I don't understand your meaning. Pushin Xiaoe who was stunned. Don't ask too many questions, Dongfang Chen coldly shouted. Yes. I'll do it right away, Pushan Xiaoyu obeyed. Half an hour later, Mr. Dongfang, arrangements have been made, you go over there too, Dongfang Chen said. Mr. Dongfang, don't worry, it won't cost you your life. Dongfang Chen knew his concerns. Yes, Pushan Xiaoyu arrived at the Austro-Hungarian warship. Mr. Dongfang, I've arrived, have your warship lead the way and take them to the designated area. Dongfang Chen sent him 9 waypoints, with 3 ships at each waypoint. Pushan Xiaoyu looked at them and saw that these waypoints were all within the territory of Mota. Mr. Dongfang, that's impossible. Once these warships enter Mota's territory, they will be attacked, Pushan Xiaoyu suggested insincerely in his heart. He just felt a little pity. Why weren't these warships Dongfang Chen's? Otherwise, why would I have you go up there? Dongfang Chen retorted. Mr. Dongfang, there's no point in you doing this. Even if I take them to the designated area, they won't be able to cause any damage to Mota. Pushan Xiaoyu was trying to fish for information. He guessed that Dongfang Chen wanted to temporarily hide these warships within Mota's territory and launch an attack when the opportunity arose. If that were the case, then Dongfang Chen was being too naive. Mota wasn't stupid and would definitely be prepared. How the Austro-Hungarians use these warships is their business and has nothing to do with me. You just need to be responsible for completing this task, Dongfang Chen said. Okay, I understand. After hanging up the phone, Pushan Xiaoyu reported the situation to the Elders Hall, with the main content as follows. 1. Dongfang Chen's warships were discovered in Istanbul, and it is suspected that they may have reached some kind of cooperation. 2. Dongfang Chen requested that the Austro-Hungarian warships be brought to the designated location for an unknown purpose. The Elders Hall quickly replied. 1. Try to find out the details of their cooperation as much as possible. 2. The warships can be released. They dared to directly release the Austro-Hungarian warships, which showed that they were very confident in their strength. After receiving authorization, Pushan Xiaoyu immediately ordered the fleet to set off and fly to the designated area. Once they entered the heartland of Mota, Dongfang Chen could no longer contact Pushan Xiaoyu. What happened next was up to fate. Chapter 588, Mutated Praying Mantises in India and Pakistan. The queen bees and crystal cores had already been separately loaded into those 27 Hungarian warships. Before Pushan Xiaoyu arrived in Istanbul, they would drop the queen bees with corresponding numbers at corresponding locations on the way to their destination. The dropping process could not be concealed, because anyone who wasn't blind could see it. Pushan Xiaoyu quickly reported to the Elder Council. After discovering this, the Elder Council replied that it didn't need to be managed. Someone would handle it since it didn't need to be managed. Pushan Xiaoyu was happy to be left alone. Model Great Western Small City, Ankara, Saint. The item has been brought back, a subordinate reported. Go take a look. A disheveled, bearded man strode out inside a makeshift courtyard. Several subordinates were gathered around a black box. This was a black box made of an unknown composite material, with no markings on the surface except for some dirt. There were no seams between the faces of the box, only a lid that looked like it could be opened on one side. Open it, the disheveled saint ordered. Several subordinates carefully opened the lid. No accidents occurred. Inside was only a crudely shaped robot that looked like it had been broken in the fall. After careful inspection, the saint took photos and videos from various angles and sent them back to the Elder Council. The Hungarian warships weren't constantly dropping boxes. Some sections had more drops. Some had fewer, and many sections had no drops at all. The dropping program was preset, and boxes were only dropped when passing through the construction area of the underground tunnel. To mislead them, Dongfang Chen put a very trashy detection robot in each box. The workmanship was very rough, the quality was very poor, and it basically broke down upon landing. These were for them to pick up if there was nothing in the dropped boxes. It would arouse their suspicion. In fact, by the time they rushed over to pick up the boxes, the queen bees had already taken the crystal cores and moved underground. The Elder Council issued a strict order that all the black boxes dropped by the Hungarian warships must be found. This made the Motto lands lively, with many people beginning to leave their residences and run wildly on the vast Gobi Desert because of long-term drought. The temperature here was high, and there was no snow accumulation. Dongfang Chen had lost contact with the warships, so he didn't see this scene. At the same time, Xiaolin had arrived in Yinba State. In stark contrast to the warm welcome from Agila, Yinba State's attitude could be described as unusually serious and heavily guarded. The warships led by Xiaolin landed in Mengmei City, Mahila State, an important southern city of Yinba State. This area had a tropical climate, and the temperature was still above 18 degrees Celsius. Liquan didn't rush to disembark because the scene before him left him at a loss. Dongfang Chen also saw this scene through the monitoring screen. Looking out through the window, a large number of small animals densely covered the weed-filled lawn. Mutant mantises. This was a group of yellowish-brown mantises, standing neatly in rows, their triangular heads looking over uniformly, like brave warriors. Because people were on the warship, the object seen would feel smaller. But Dongfang Chen estimated that the height of these mutant mantises' heads from the ground definitely exceeded 1 meter compared to the warship. They were definitely small shrimp, but compared to humans, this was a bit terrifying. Such large mantises could easily kill people. Their two forelimbs were like two sharp axes, and with lightning-fast attack speed, the destructive power was definitely not to be underestimated. Now Dongfang Chen's biggest doubt was, could Yinba State also be an insect civilization? Or had they mastered the method of controlling insects? Menka, come and take a look at these mantises, see if there's anything abnormal, Dongfang Chen said. These insects are not normal, Menka replied directly. Tell me more about it, Dongfang Chen asked. Although he had now implanted a lot of knowledge, it was far from Menka's rich knowledge. She was an old monster who had survived in the solar system for 1 billion years, and had seen many things and had rich experience. Mantises only remain still when they see prey. But they shouldn't spontaneously gather together to form a square, Menka said. Since insects can produce civilization, what's so strange about that? Dongfang Chen retorted. I think they're being controlled. Menka still firmly believed in her own ideas. Could it be that Yinba State also has gene programming technology? Dongfang Chen guessed originally. The gene programming technology developed by Ling Wu could achieve control over rat rabbits, dung beetles, and ants. So now, seeing controlled mantises again, Dongfang Chen didn't feel surprised. What was surprising was that if Yinba State also mastered this technology, then its relationship with model grade was worth pondering. Chapter 589 Familiar Building. Liquan's group of 5 warships had already landed for half an hour. The praying mantis phalanx outside remained motionless, standing there silently as if intently watching their prey. The reply from the India-Pakistan Federation was late. They were on their way. Liquan was speechless at such a bizarre occurrence in such a formal setting. Another half hour passed before their reception personnel finally arrived. This made Liquan even more dumbfounded. These reception personnel were actually riding large spiders. No wonder they were late. They had come on foot, so to speak. These spiders were large, with saddles installed on their backs proportionally. They were probably over 4 meters tall. For safety reasons, Liquan and his team had all donned armor before disembarking. The reception personnel did not apologize, likely considering lateness a normal occurrence. They had also brought many spiders for Liquan and the others to ride. However, Liquan flatly refused. Covered in thorns, the creatures looked incredibly repulsive, and he wouldn't sit on one even if his life depended on it. Fortunately, they had brought mechas, which transformed into vehicle mode, each capable of carrying 4 people. The reception personnel rode their spiders ahead, leading the way, with the mechas following behind, surrounded by a circle of praying mantis soldiers, slowly heading towards the city of Mumbai. The procession was so slow, barely faster than walking. Logically, insects should be quite fast, so they were probably doing this as a form of etiquette. Thus, 6 hours later, they finally arrived at their destination, Mount Alhari in northern Mumbai. This is, Dongfang Chen was shocked by the towering structure in the distance, not by its grandeur, but by its familiarity. He had seen this before, also in Gir County in the Razin region before the heavy snowfall. That place would continuously produce scorpions, so it's them. Dongfang Chen understood. The giant scorpion structure in Gir County was their doing. In that case, the India-Pakistan Federation's position was even more questionable. Liquan and his group were led into the massive structure. As soon as they stepped inside, communication was immediately cut off, and Dongfang Chen couldn't see what was happening inside. The rest would depend on Liquan himself. Liquan was also baffled. He had never seen this massive structure and knew nothing about the events in the Razin region. Now that contact with the base was severed, he felt panicked. The main purposes of this visit were twofold. First, to probe the true situation of the India-Pakistan Federation, and second, to gauge their attitude towards Mato's grand sacrificial ceremony. Without Dongfang Chen's guidance, he would have to rely on his own devices. Evening, January 19, 2057 AD. Tomita Sayako had followed Dongfang Chen's instructions to transport the warships to the designated locations and return to Damascus. Actually, these locations had no specific meaning. They were simply to cover the Queen Bee's deployment points during the voyage. Mr. Dongfang, The warships have all been delivered, but there were some issues in the process. What issues? Dongfang Chen asked. These Akan warships were dropping items onto the ground along the way, which drew the attention of the Elder Council. Tomita Sayako could have concealed this matter, but she brought it up to try and glean information about their motives. She already knew the Elder Council's analysis. The boxes contained crudely made probes, which, judging by the craftsmanship, were certainly not Dongfang Chen's work. Ignore it, it has nothing to do with us, Dongfang Chen said indifferently, showing no curiosity. This further convinced Tomita Sayako that the Akan were simply trying to be clever, hoping to use Dongfang Chen to gather information about Mato, but their plan was too crude. The Elder Council endorsed this conclusion because such behavior was very characteristic of the Akan. They weren't very bright, were careless in their actions, and often overlooked the obvious. What should we do next? Tomita Sayako asked. As soon as she asked, she felt a pang of anxiety, feeling that her question was too forward. If Dongfang Chen thought she was probing for information, it would be terrible. You set out now and immediately transfer all those warships to the Xiaolin region on the Mato-India border, Dongfang Chen ordered. Huh? Tomita Sayako was stunned. Set out immediately, Dongfang Chen roared. Yes. Tomita Sayako didn't dare to say another word. She immediately reported the matter to the Elder Council, and a message quickly returned. The Elder Council rebuked Tomita Sayako for being too eager for quick success and asking too many questions. Dongfang Chen issued such an order because he had become suspicious and wanted to see if those warships still existed. If the warships were gone, it would indicate that Tomita Sayako was the problem. Tomita Sayako breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the warships were still there. Chapter 590. The good days are over. Following Dongfang Chen's instructions, Tomita Sayako moved the battleship to the Xiaolin area on the border of Mato. Originally, he thought that Dongfang Chen would order him to move it back after seeing that the battleship was fine, but Dongfang Chen didn't do that. This surprised him, but he didn't say anything more. Around 10 p.m., Xiaolin and his group emerged from the mysterious building. Commander, the Indian-Pakistan nation is completely unaware of Mato's grand sacrificial ceremony and has no intention of interfering. He reported the situation to Dongfang Chen as soon as he came out. How is the situation inside the building? The structure is very complex, like a particularly large honeycomb, Xiaolin replied. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. You can go back now. Yes. Afterward, Dongfang Chen called Tuchus and discussed the construction of a transit base. Tuchus readily agreed. In the next few days, whether the underground communication tunnel could be successfully built depended entirely on fate. At the same time, he had another important matter to attend to: negotiating with the Alice and Hua nations to increase troops to the northern and eastern borders of Mato. Regardless of the true purpose of Mato's sacrificial ceremony, it had to be interrupted. Dongfang Chen first called Veilev. Mr. Dongfang, my friend, I am very honored to receive your call. It was clear that Veilev was in a good mood. How could he not be? Since winter, the Orc Hungarians had not harassed them again. They had plenty to eat and drink in the underground base, so they must be living comfortably. Mr. Veilev, I'm afraid your good days are coming to an end, Dongfang Chen said bluntly. Mr. Dongfang, what do you mean by this? Veilev was stunned. Your neighbor, Mato, will hold a sacrificial ceremony in 10 days. According to reliable sources, if their sacrificial ceremony is successful, everyone will be killed by them, Dongfang Chen said. Mato? Mr. Dongfang, are you kidding me? Do they have such abilities? Veilev didn't believe it. For him, Mato was insignificant, far less oppressive than the Orc Hungarians. The Orc Hungarians are like younger brothers in front of them. Dongfang Chen directly grabbed him by the throat. I think we must stop them. Veilev immediately changed his tune. The reason I'm calling you today is to discuss the matter of launching troops together. Mr. Dongfang, this matter is a bit difficult. Now Alice is basically covered in ice and snow and does not have the conditions to mobilize troops, Veilev said. Forget about mobilizing troops. I know that you still have a large number of missile silos deployed in the North Siberia region. Cooperate with my actions when necessary. Dongfang Chen didn't beat around the bush and directly stated his request. No problem. I'll hit wherever you point, Veilev agreed very readily. Okay, it's a deal. After hanging up the phone, he called Old Kin again, who also knew very little about Mato, so Dongfang Chen first spent some time explaining the general situation of Mato. However, he did not mention the matter of the Manichaeans. Dongfang Chen had previously told him that the Red Cloak sect was actually supported by Mato. Since they had been secretly causing trouble, Hua is not acting without justification. We still need to plan this matter in detail. I'm worried that if we concentrate our forces in the Aksa area, there will be trouble at home. Old Qin replied he was now trying to purge the Manichaean members from the official ranks. Once the troops were withdrawn, these people might take action. I suggest that we can transfer the troops from the Northwest Military Region and the Southwest Military Region, and the troops from the Southeast Military Region and the Northeast Military Region will be responsible for maintaining domestic stability. Of course, if you want to take the opportunity to harvest a batch, it's not impossible. If necessary, I can cooperate with you, Dongfang Chen said bluntly, revealing his trump card. Is your meaning what I understand it to be? Old Qin asked, cutting to the chase. Even more than you understand, Dongfang Chen also replied vaguely. Okay, I understand. Old Qin agreed. January 20, 2057 AD, morning the Hua National Assembly issued an announcement declaring the nation to be in a state of war. The announcement required local underground bases to independently organize security forces to manage the bases in a closed manner. During the closure, the bases would only allow entry and no exit. It required the Huatong Chamber of Commerce to terminate all cross-base transportation activities and follow the closed management policies within the bases. It required the Mercenary Guild to suspend all private communication services to reduce the risk of information flow. It requisitioned the transport ships of the Huatong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild, requiring them to be sent to nearby military sub-districts within 24 hours. In addition, the Assembly also issued orders to the military regions. It required them to depart at 12 o'clock noon on the 21st and rush to the Aksu area to stand by. That is to say, the forces of the East, South, West, and North military regions were all to be transferred. Chapter 591, Plan finalized. Old Qin's deployment of troops from all four military regions was intended to create opportunities for certain lurking members of the Mani sect. When Dongfang Chen said he could provide some indescribable cooperation, it meant that he still had backup plans in various bases. Old Qin believed this indescribable cooperation meant that these bases were still under his surveillance. This was the reason why the Military and Political Department and the Security Department initially tried to prevent the rise of the Huatong Chamber of Commerce. However, Beiji's change of attitude later became the key to the Huatong Chamber of Commerce's success. So why did Beiliji initially plan to suppress the Huatong Chamber of Commerce, only to later make a complete 180-degree turn? This was inseparable from Old Qin's promotion behind the scenes. Old Qin's original words were, "The common people are already struggling to survive. Is monitoring them really that important? How should this be understood? It depends on where a leader's priorities lie. Is it emphasizing the council's absolute control over China, or prioritizing the safety of the common people? Once these two issues cannot be balanced and must be reconciled, different choices will lead to completely different results." Clearly, Old Qin had a broader vision. The council is the people's council. As long as the people are safe, why dwell on who the administrator is? Once this was understood, the train of thought immediately opened up on the surface. Troops from all four military regions were transferred away, but in reality, to prevent lurking elements from taking the opportunity to cause sabotage, the Southeast Military Region and the Northeast Military Region did not go to the Aksu region. Instead, they temporarily entered the newly built Mosinark base. The Mosinark base has been completed, but it has not yet been put into use. The Moda Empire learned of China's military movements as soon as they happened. However, they did not react in any way, presumably because they did not take this small force seriously. Soon, 9 days passed. On January 30th, Hungarian will called again, extending a formal invitation to Dongfang Chen. The military exercise was scheduled for 6 a.m. local time on January 31st. Dongfang Chen replied to Will, promising to attend in person. Of course, he couldn't go in person, nor could he. But if he didn't say so, who would know? When the combat suit is put on, who can tell who's who? January 30th, 9 p.m. A stand-in. Dongfang Chen led 20 warships to Istanbul that night. They held a secret meeting that lasted 5 hours. Finally, they agreed that after the start of the military exercise, the Hungarian side would divide its forces into two groups, launching attacks simultaneously from the eastern shore of the Black Sea and the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, attacking the important western cities of the Moda Empire, Tehran and Damascus. Then, one group would move east and the other south, completely blockading these areas. Dongfang Chen's side would divide into three groups, launching attacks simultaneously from the eastern shore of the Caspian Sea, the northern part of the Moda Empire, and the northwestern part. The Western Army would coordinate with the Hungarian side, while the northern armies would attack the major northeastern cities of the Moda Empire, Almaty and Tashkent. As for whether China would participate in the war, the Hungarians didn't even mention it. Completely disregarding it, Dongfang Chen sat in the control hall, shaking his head as he listened to their plan. These Hungarians are definitely good at screwing over their teammates. With such a battle plan, they won't even know how they died. Now that the Hungarian plan was clear, he had to help them along. He first called Putin Xiaolin, asking him to transfer all 27 of the Hungarian warships to Zahadan. Zahadan is also located on the border of the Moda Empire. In the westernmost location, Putin Xiaolin relayed the message to the Elder Hall. The Elder Hall still agreed then. Dongfang Chen shared the Hungarian plan with High Priest Maya and Techis, Mr. Dongfang, if the Hungarians directly attack Damascus, can we cross the Red Sea and attack from the south? Techis asked. No, I suggest you cross the Mediterranean Sea and attack Ankara. Dongfang Chen shook his head. Ankara? Why is that? Techis didn't understand. Ankara is very close to Istanbul. Logically, the Hungarians should be able to take care of it themselves. Don't forget what I said before, the Hungarians can't be trusted. Taking them too seriously will easily lead to falling into a trap. Dongfang Chen reminded Techis nodded. He couldn't understand. Even if the Hungarians were untrustworthy, at worst, their combat effectiveness would be weak. What else could happen? Then why attack Ankara? The distance from there to the Moda Empire's heartland is the furthest. Techis continued to ask. I've always believed that the shortest route often has the greatest risk, the least controllability, and the highest cost. Dongfang Chen said, you're right. Only by minimizing risks as much as possible can we maximize the chances of success. Techis nodded in agreement. Mr. Dongfang, I think this is too conservative. If we can't find their altar before the sacrificial ceremony, then everything will be meaningless, High Priest Maya said. Chapter 592 Buy one get one free. Don't worry, High Priest, I'll scout out the altar's location, Dongfang Chen reassured him. Very well then, High Priest Maya nodded, a hint of helplessness in his expression. It wasn't that he didn't trust Dongfang Chen, but he was accustomed to having everything under his control. He was still somewhat unaccustomed to this kind of team-based operation. By the way, I don't recommend taking control of the Great Sun Nation's warships immediately. They might have a pleasant surprise for us later, Dongfang Chen said. We shall proceed as Mr. Dongfang suggests. Now that the underground communication tunnel was complete, he had already tested it while Putin Xiaolin as he was mobilizing the Hungarian warships, and the communication was normal. That meant they now had the necessary conditions to investigate. Motto, Mr. Valeev, tomorrow at 5 a.m., target Merkland for a prelude. Dongfang Chen informed Valeev of the operation after the discussion concluded. Shouldn't Merkland belong to the Indo-Pakistani region? Are you sure you haven't made a mistake? Valeev thought he had misheard. That's correct, Dongfang Chen replied. All right. How about a buy one get one free deal? Valeev surprisingly felt that one wasn't enough. If you want to give one away, send it to Kiha, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Kiha was also within Indo-Pakistani territory, both locations situated on the Mado-Indian border. The next day at 5 a.m., two streaks of light flashed across the dark night sky. Two intercontinental missiles carrying hydrogen bomb warheads were launched on time from the North Siberia region, flying directly towards the Mado-Indian border. The missiles would pass through the Ulan neutral zone and the Yujiang region of China, but everyone had been informed of the plan in advance, and no one panicked. 15 minutes later, two mushroom clouds bloomed instantly, and massive shockwaves rapidly spread outward. Two small cities were reduced to ashes under the impact. This blast stunned several countries. First was Indo-Pakistan. They were sitting at home when disaster struck from the sky. They immediately contacted the Russian official, demanding an explanation. Valeev simply replied, the Russian nation has now been occupied by Hungary. You've contacted the wrong people. So Indo-Pakistan turned to Hungary for answers. Hungary, what's going on? Who made a move? Isn't it not even 6 o'clock yet? However, Hungary might have lacked brains, but they didn't lack courage. What is Indo-Pakistan anyway? How dare they question me? Why weren't you invited to the military exercise? Don't you have any self-awareness? So could they tolerate this kind of rudeness? Of course not. Therefore, they immediately replied with overbearing arrogance, we hit you, so what? Come and fight if you're not happy. Indo-Pakistan jumped 3 feet high after receiving the reply. Arrogant, too arrogant, this revenge must be taken. In addition, another stunt party was Mado. They originally thought the nuclear bomb was launched by Russia and were investigating if there was any conspiracy behind it when Hungary jumped out and admitted it. How did Mado know that Hungary had admitted it? It turned out that Indo-Pakistan and Hungary didn't share a border. Motto was in between Indo-Pakistan contacted them, requesting passage. Note, it wasn't a request, but a demand when Xiaolin visited Indo-Pakistan some time ago. They said that Motto was not worth mentioning and they had no interest in participating. In their view, Motto's technological and military strength wasn't much stronger than a primitive society. They didn't need to find helpers to fight them, so what was there to discuss about the passage? It was a direct you have to allow it, whether you want to or not. This move put Motto in a difficult position. They hadn't anticipated that things would become so complicated if they didn't allow it. Then without thinking, Indo-Pakistan would immediately send troops to attack. They weren't afraid, but it wasn't wise to increase variables for no reason. But if they allowed it, there would also be uncontrollable consequences. First, Hungary's military exercise was about to begin soon, and the two countries might end up fighting on their territory. Second, it was really hard to say if there were any other hidden motives behind this. It would be very bad if Indo-Pakistan and Hungary were just putting on an act. Both Hungary and Indo-Pakistan had a bit of a reckless attitude and couldn't be understood with normal logic. In the end, the Motto high-levels discussion resulted in not allowing it. That way, things would be clearer. If you dare to attack, I'll destroy you. It's that simple and direct. No matter what conspiracies and tricks you have, I'll break them all with brute force. Indo-Pakistan's anger flared even more after receiving Motto's rejection message not allowing it. Huh? Okay, then I won't discuss it with you, I'll just drive right through. However, it would take time for them to mobilize their forces, so it couldn't be done immediately. Hungary didn't take Indo-Pakistan's matter seriously at all and had completely forgotten about it. It was almost 6 o'clock, and all their warships had been activated, ready to depart at any moment. The 20 warships brought by Dongfang Chen had already set sail, flying through Russian airspace towards the northern border of Motto. Chapter 593, Encirclement. January 31, 2027, 6 a.m. The Hung Alliance launched their attack on schedule. The Northern Route Army encountered resistance immediately after landing on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean. Nearly 100 anti-aircraft guns on the ground continuously bombarded the sky, erupting in frequent and violent explosions. This wasn't their first attack on Motto, so they were very familiar with the scene. As long as they raised their warships a little higher, their anti-aircraft guns were just decorations, completely useless. Motto seemed oblivious to this, continuing to fire incessantly. The Hung Alliance was very clear that the people in front of them were all stragglers and did not represent Motto's true strength. They had suffered a great loss before because they were deceived by this illusion. Therefore, they were much more cautious this time, advancing very slowly. The situation was different for the Southern Route Army, which landed on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean. This was because Greater Dair had warships stationed in Damascus. Sayako Kamita was putting up a good fight. The Hung warships were met with fierce attacks as soon as they landed. Moreover, the Greater Dair warships had energy shields, making their defense extremely abnormal. Within half an hour of the start of the battle, the Hung Alliance had lost 3 warships, which made Will very unhappy. Weren't these Greater Dair warships supposed to be under Dongfang Chen's command? Why were they really attacking? So he immediately contacted Dongfang Chen, Mr. Well, they are still nominally under Motto's command. They can't just let you pass by, can they? I think as long as you detour slightly, they won't make things difficult for you. Dongfang Chen replied. Will thought this made sense, so he immediately ordered the warships to withdraw to the Mediterranean and land again 300 kilometers north of Damascus. This time, they were not blocked by Greater Dair and began to advance rapidly eastward. At the same time, the joint fleet composed of Egala and the Mayans had already set off, heading north across the Mediterranean Sea to land at the coastal city of Antalya. Perhaps because the Hung Alliance had attracted the firepower, their landing was not hindered in any way. At 7 a.m., the joint fleet successfully arrived at the important western city of Ankara. At the same time, Dongfang Chen's 2 northern fleets had arrived at the northern towns of Almaty and Tashkent, respectively. The Western Route Army, crossing the Caspian Sea southward, had reached the central city of Tehran. At this point, the plan formulated by the Hung Alliance had been fully completed. The subsequent battles were all up to individual initiative. Why wasn't there a plan for what followed? Because their warships would lose contact after penetrating deep into Motto, making planning meaningless, so they simply let each fleet act according to the circumstances. If Dongfang Chen followed their plan, he would definitely be screwed over. Now that the Hung Alliance had lost contact with its warships, it was completely under his control. But Dongfang Chen could rely on the underground communication tunnels to understand the real-time battle situation. After the Hung Southern Route Army advanced 500 kilometers eastward, Its rear route was completely cut off. The northern route army was still relatively safe because it could escape towards the Caspian Sea at any time. However, warships were already gathering to its west, ready to attack at any moment. From the current situation, Nata was planning to load the enemy deep and then wipe them all out in one fell swoop, and in order to prevent the northern route army from escaping, Dongfang Chen speculated that Nata was likely to launch an attack on the southern route army first. At this time, they might adopt a strategy of encircling without attacking, luring the northern route army to come to their aid. Once they went to help, they would be immediately surrounded, unable to escape. Although the OK-Hung alliance was reckless, it was indeed the vanguard attracting firepower, and they couldn't be easily wiped out. If they were wiped out, the Egula and Mayan joint fleet would be under great pressure. So how to deal with the upcoming crisis? That was to destroy their encirclement. It had now been determined that a large enemy force existed to the east of the Egula joint fleet in western Mado. Part of it had already moved in a southeasterly direction, and its purpose must be to cut off the southern route army's rear. Then the remaining warships were waiting for the arrival of the northern route army. As long as the Egula joint fleet held this force, their pocket formation would be difficult to form. On the other hand, there was also a small enemy force near Dongfang Chen's western route army, south of the Caspian Sea. They ignored Dongfang Chen, and were definitely planning to wait for an opportunity to cut off the OK-Hung northern route army's rear. Mr. Touches, the communication channel has now been shared with you. Next, you need to set off immediately, heading east from Ankara, and hold the Mado fleet ambushing in the west. Otherwise, the two OK-Hung fleets are likely to be surrounded and annihilated within 2 hours. Dongfang Chen said their connection was kept open at all times to facilitate real-time sharing of information. Touches was deeply impressed when he saw that Dongfang Chen had achieved complete monitoring of Mado. If they had forcibly attacked Mado in complete ignorance, they probably wouldn't have had the slightest chance of winning. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 594 Space Lens. The Maya High Priest was greatly relieved to see that Dongfang Chen was so knowledgeable about Mado's troop deployments. The biggest difficulty in attacking Mado wasn't their advanced technology, but the unknown. Now that they had lost this advantage, failure was only a matter of time. The joint fleet of Egula and Maya had a total of 50 warships, with Maya contributing 30 and Egula 20. This size was more than enough to hold back Mado's western fleet. Ohio southern route fleet, General Isidro, enemy warships have appeared behind us, and our retreat has been cut off, a subordinate reported. Don't worry, there are only 5 of them, we can easily deal with them, Isidro said dismissively. General Isidro, enemy warships have also appeared in front of us, also 5 in number, another subordinate reported. Open fire immediately and destroy them, Isidro ordered. Yes, the Ohio southern route fleet currently had 17 warships, each equipped with a high-powered electromagnetic cannon. These 17 cannons firing at full power were incredibly formidable. However, the shells fired did not achieve the expected results because all of these shells missed. What's going on? Isidro asked, very surprised. General, they can alter the trajectory of the shells. We can't hit them, the subordinate reported. Impossible. The shells are so fast. How can they change trajectory at such a short distance? Isidro didn't believe it at all. In reality, the trajectory of the shells hadn't changed, but space itself was distorted. Mado's warships could cause slight distortions in the surrounding space. The shells appeared to be moving forward in a straight line, but like passing through a lens, their trajectory was deformed. Space lens. Dongfang Chen, who had been watching the battle, couldn't help but be surprised at the scene before him. The knowledge stored in his neural implant gave him a general understanding of humanity's past technological levels. The strange properties displayed by Mado's warships were very similar to the principle of a space lens. As far as Dongfang Chen knew, this technology was developed by the former America. The so-called space lens technology refers to the formation of a distorted space through technical means. Generally, this distorted space is in the shape of a standard sphere in full power mode. The distorted space formed by the space lens is completely invisible. This is because light is also distorted when passing through the lens, and the human brain cannot distinguish this distortion. This is somewhat similar to the effect of a gravitational field distorting space. You can see the sun before it rises above the horizon because the light bends slightly as it enters the Earth force field. However, it should be noted that the space lens is not achieved by relying on a gravitational field. but rather resembles a spatial bubble. Of course, for an object within the lens to be completely invisible, it can only be achieved at full power. If the power is insufficient, the light will not be completely distorted, so the object within the lens can still be seen. However, in this state, some low-mass, slow-moving objects will still be distorted when passing through the lens. Suppose you are standing in front of a non-full power lens. You can indeed see its existence, but you cannot touch it. What you see is that your hand is slightly deformed when approaching the space lens, as if being squeezed outward. But this is just seeing the squeezing. In reality, your hand doesn't feel anything and doesn't touch anything. That's right, it's a space lens, but it's not operating at full power. Menke confirmed for a space lens to operate at full power, it requires very high instantaneous energy. Moreover, it cannot be high energy that has been accumulated, it must be supported by an energy core with high energy density, and Dongfang Chen knew that the only thing that could achieve this was vibration crystal. So the reason Mato's warships weren't operating the space lens at full power must be because they lacked a higher density energy core. However, there were still a few questions here. 1. It is unknown whether Mato has mastered the complete space lens technology. 2. Could Mato already know about the existence of vibration crystal? Preliminary judgment suggests a high probability. 3. Why would Mato have mastered the technology of the former S America? These questions cannot be answered now, so they can only be put aside for now. No wonder Mato was so fearless. With space lens technology, traditional shells could never hit. Even if they just stood there as a target, you wouldn't be able to hit them. However, they couldn't fully activate the space lens, and light could pass through. This meant that they couldn't defend against laser weapon attacks. Mr. Dongfang, what is this space lens you're talking about? Touches asked. He had also heard Dongfang Chen and Menke's conversation. This technology is very powerful. In full power mode, it can completely become invisible from 3D space. Existing detection methods and attack methods are all ineffective against it. Dongfang Chen roughly introduced the principle of the space lens. Chapter 595, Psychic Detector. After Dongfang Chen finished his introduction, the Mayan High Priest spoke. It's not that it's completely undetectable, the Mayan High Priest said. Oh? Does the Mayan High Priest have a solution? Dongfang Chen asked with a smile. In fact, he knew that the Dragon Kingdom at that time had already created equipment that could detect space lenses, called mind detectors, and the developers of this technology were the Mayan ancestors, the Levante people of that time. The principle of the mind detector is simple, called electromagnetic capture. This is somewhat similar to the principle of the Levante clan's telepathy. Space lenses, at full power, are indeed undetectable, and neither are mind detectors. However, absolute space lenses have no practical application value, because the people inside the lens are completely isolated from the outside world. When the object in the space lens is completely isolated from the outside world, it will not be able to perceive the outside world, nor will it be able to produce any form of connection and influence with the outside world. If it is a warship, then this warship is like being in endless nothingness. What they see is absolute black, with nothing around them. It is even more impossible to control the warship's navigation, nor to fight to connect with the surrounding world. There must be an electromagnetic connection with the outside world. Therefore, practical full-power lenses will have detection holes set on the surface of the lens. By processing the electromagnetic waves coming through the detection holes, an external image can be formed inside. Only by understanding the external situation can corresponding strategic decisions be made. So, since practical full-power lenses can absorb a certain amount of electromagnetic waves, they can be captured by mind detectors. It's just that capturing is capturing, but attacking is also very difficult. The Levante clan's mind control technique is definitely effective. They can control the life forms inside through the detection holes, but the success rate is extremely low and the operation is extremely difficult. To solve this problem, the Levante clan also invented the mind controller. They can improve their control ability through the external energy and power amplification equipment provided by the mind controller, thereby reducing the difficulty of operation and increasing the success rate. Dongfang Chen pretended not to know, because he needed to temporarily conceal the past events of humanity 1 billion years ago. The Mayan High Priest knows much more about human history than other races. If Dongfang Chen reveals too much information in his words, it will make him suspicious. The clan has records that our ancestors once invented a device called a mind detector, which can detect invisible objects. The High Priest explained. From his description, it can be heard that the High Priest already knows very little about this technology. After all, The memories inherited by the Mayans are simply pitiful compared to the knowledge once mastered by their ancestors. There is such incredible technology. T'Challa was shocked by the conversation between the two. He believes that the technology of Wakanda is very advanced, but he knows nothing about these technologies. It seems that isolationism is not allowed. Now it seems that the OKC Hungarian fleet will inevitably be unable to compete with mortar, Dongfang Chen said. Then should we still support them? The Mayan high priest asked. Of course, we must provide support. If the OKC Hungarian fleets on both routes are surrounded, they will surely die. Once they are eliminated, the enemy warships that are freed up will form a blockade in the central region, making it very difficult to break through to the east. Dongfang Chen analyzed. That's right, we must bite down on this lurking fleet in the west. As long as the gap cannot be closed, then everyone is still safe. T'Challa agreed. Yes, High Priest, I suggest that your 30 warships guard the outside, and Mr. T'Challa, your warships should be in the middle to provide firepower output. With the protection of the energy shield, the overall defense can be greatly improved. Dongfang Chen suggested the warships of Agila and Maya are mainly laser weapons, which is a good thing. However, since the warships of Agila do not have energy shields, their defense is relatively weak. However, their warships integrate a large number of miniature attack robots, which can provide highly mobile firepower output. The two complement each other and complement each other. I think it's great. The Mayan high priest agreed without any hesitation. Inside the OKC Hungarian South Route fleet, General Zadoro, the warships of the Great Sun Kingdom have also caught up. The subordinate shouted, quickly send a signal to the North Route army and let them come to support us quickly. Isidoro shouted he can't beat the warships of the Great Sun Kingdom, nor can he beat the warships of Mortar. Now there are strong enemies in front and pursuers behind. If he doesn't ask for help, he will die. Although the OKC Hungarian side cannot contact its own country, the warships can still communicate with each other. As Dongfang Chen expected, these mortar warships are not in a hurry to attack, they are just waiting for the arrival of the North Route Army. Chapter 596. 10 warships destroyed. OK Hyong's Northern Route Army immediately adjusted its attack route upon receiving the distress call from the Southern Route Army, abandoning the plan to coordinate with Dongfang Chen's Western Route fleet to the east and heading south. Dongfang Chen's face twitched as he watched this scene unfold. This OK Hyong is truly a King D Pit father, meaning disappointing or unreliable, changing his advance route without even a word. Although he didn't expect them to display much combat power, wasn't it really appropriate to abandon their allies so decisively? Fine, you do the first day of the lunar month, and I'll do the 15th. Idiom, what goes around comes around. You're still playing the decoy. The fleet ambushing from Mado's west began to move, flanking the Northern Route Army's rear as planned, like the mantis stalking the cicada. Unaware of the Oriole behind Agila and Maya's joint fleet quickly sneaked up and immediately launched an attack. Mado was caught off guard and immediately turned their ships to counterattack. The Maya fleet protected the outside, with energy shields attracting all the firepower. The Agila warships, hidden in the middle, released all their micro-robots, which swarmed like bees. Chirp chirp chirp, chirp chirp chirp. Although the attack power of a single robot was not strong, the destructive power of a swarm attack should not be underestimated. And Mado's 10 warships struggled to cope. The Maya fleet had been waiting for an opportunity, preparing to concentrate their firepower at the right time for a devastating blow. The attenuation effect of the non-full power special lens on laser weapons was negligible, and soon one warship suffered major damage. Fire. The Maya high priest issued the order. The laser cannons of 30 warships simultaneously targeted the warship and fired. Boom! With a loud bang, the enemy warship exploded instantly, scattering debris everywhere. They panicked. At this point, the special lens was their important reliance for defending their warships, and if it failed, their warships would be no different from live targets. There was no need to continue fighting, and they turned their ships to escape. Fire. The Maya high priest issued another order. Boom! The second warship was destroyed. The other 8 warships were already riddled with holes under the attack of the micro-robots. Disperse fire, don't let them run away. Dongfang Chen shouted. The Maya side had 30 warships, almost 3 against 1, enough to give them a hard time. After hearing Dongfang Chen's reminder, the Maya high priest immediately issued an order to disperse the attack. Chirp chirp chirp. The 30 warships began to attack the 8 warships separately. Boom! 3 more exploded, and the remaining 5 began to smoke. Chirp chirp chirp. Immediately afterwards, 3 more were destroyed, and the remaining 2 had lost power and were falling to the ground. Good. Touches slapped the table happily when he saw that his side had annihilated 10 enemy warships without any losses. This was the first time he had achieved such a significant victory in as many battles with Motto. It was very important for boosting the morale of the soldiers. Motto was very surprised to find that the 10 warships they had ambushed in the west had been destroyed. In their opinion, this was extremely unreasonable. Why did these barbarians have such advanced equipment? This made them very puzzled. In their view, the Egula and Maya civilizations were both uncivilized barbarians, and their technological level should be very backward. Notify Pushin Xiaozi and order him to transfer the warships over to eliminate them. Inside the Moni sect's main hall, a masked man in a black robe issued the order. There were also many large screens in their main hall, broadcasting the battle scenes outside. Leader, how should we deal with Dongfang Chen's 20 warships in the north? An elder below asked. Ignore them for now. Concentrate our firepower and destroy that group of barbarians, the leader said. After receiving the order, Pushin Xiaozi immediately lifted the blockade of the OK Hyong Southern Route Army's retreat and set off north to meet the Egula Maya Joint Fleet. Mr. Dongfang, the Great Sun Nation's warships are coming. Can we take action? The Maya High Priest asked. As long as the Maya priests lurking in the Great Sun Nation's warships were ordered to take action, these warships would be directly controlled by their side. It's not time yet. Motto still has many trump cards that haven't been played. Wait a little longer. Dongfang Chen shook his head. Then what should we do now? The Maya High Priest didn't say anything more. Facts had already proven that Dongfang Chen was always one step ahead, and it was always right to listen to him. Continue east, avoiding their warships. If necessary, you can enter the Caspian Sea. They will definitely not leave Motto's territory at this time, Dongfang Chen said. Okay. The Maya High Priest and Touches immediately issued the order. After receiving the order, the fleet immediately accelerated eastward. The Great Sun Nation's warships chased relentlessly behind. They ran away. Inside the Moni sect's main hall, an elder said puzzledly. Chapter 597, you will take your own risk. Order Shi Rongcheng's unit and Rad Odin's unit to move towards the southern coast of the Caspian Sea and lie in ambush. If they land from the southern coast, let them pass for now, the sect leader ordered. Yes, the two elders replied in unison. Fu Wai, contact the Ulan neutral zone and demand they immediately withdraw from Motto territory, the sect leader instructed. Yes, an elder bowed and left. Commander, the Motto side requests communication, Xiaolin reported. Connect it, Dongfang Chen replied. Mr. Dongfang, your country's warships have entered our territory without reason. Please provide an explanation. The person on the other end wore a mask, their identity unknown. Who are you? Dongfang Chen asked. Fu Wai, from Motto's Deceitful Arts Hall. The other party replied. The Motto Great Mani sect has 5 major departments below its main headquarters: War Department, Beast Department, Law Department, Arts Department, and Secret Department. These 5 major departments currently have 108 elder halls, each with its own name. The second character in the elder hall's name is fixed, used to distinguish which department it belongs to. For example, Fu Wai's Deceitful Arts Hall, the second character is Arts, so it can be seen from the name that it belongs to the Arts Department, while Ling Yu, Ling Luo, and Ling Wu's Elder Hall is the Beast Controlling Hall, belonging to the Beast Department. Ling Duan and Ling Su's Elder Hall is the Swift Beast Hall, also belonging to the Beast Department. This is also why Ling Yu and his fellow disciples do not know Ling Duan and Ling Su, because they belong to different elder halls. Pushin Xiaozi's Elder Hall is the Yu War Hall, belonging to the War Department. Each elder hall has a hall master elder and several guest elders. The direct disciples of the elders are collectively called Holy Venerables, and there are also several subordinates assisting the Holy Venerables, collectively called Venerable Envoys. Holy Venerables have the right to recruit and train several holy sons, while Venerable Envoys do not have this right. However, Dongfang Chen is not yet aware of these details. Deceitful Arts Hall? What department is that? Never heard of it, Dongfang Chen said, not giving any face. Mr. Dongfang, since you claim to be a neutral zone, yet you secretly enter another country's territory, isn't this crossing the line? Fu Wai's tone was very firm. In his heart, he held no hope that Dongfang Chen would withdraw his troops. He was merely performing his duty of notification. If I remember correctly, when the Ulan neutral zone was first established, you didn't express any support, did you? I thought you didn't recognize our legitimacy. Dongfang Chen picked at the flaws in his words. Enough nonsense. I give you 24 hours to withdraw, otherwise it will be regarded as a declaration of war against Motto. Fu Wai said. Can you represent the official opinion of Motto? Dongfang Chen didn't take the bait. This is the official opinion, Fu Wire replied. How can you prove it? Dongfang Chen asked. The message has been delivered. If you do not withdraw, you will bear the consequences. Fu Wai said no more and cut off the communication. Dongfang Chen directly ignored his warning. It was now 10 a.m., and the battle had been going on for 4 hours currently. The OK Hungarian warships on both routes had converged and were retreating north towards the southern coast of the Caspian Sea. The Egla Maya Allied fleet had already left Moscow and was currently located in the central region of the Caspian Sea in order to prevent the OK Hungarian warships from secretly escaping. Dongfang Chen had no choice but to abandon attacking the Moscow warship stationed on the southern coast and instead sailed south. He wanted to clear a passage to the east for the OK Hungarian side, guiding them towards the hinterland. If the OK Hungarian warships escaped from Moscow, they would definitely never return. How could that be allowed? These were all side tasks. His main mission was to find Moscow's altar. The most difficult point was not knowing what form Moscow's sacrificial ceremony took, whether the altar existed at all, or what it looked like. The Queen Bee, hidden in the communication tunnel, used the remaining crystal core energy to create a large number of miniature probe robots, which had already begun a large-scale search of Moscow's ground, but so far without success. It seems I have to use a trick to lure the snake out of its hole. Dongfang Chen decided to test the waters. He planned to have Pushin Xiaozi lead the way to find their elder hall first. Pushin Xiaozi didn't know that Dongfang Chen had the ability to monitor him, so his vigilance was naturally not very strong. But the problem now was that he couldn't contact him directly, because once he contacted him, it would expose his ability to communicate. So now he could only use the warships within Moscow's territory to contact him indirectly. Mr. Pushin Xiaozi, I have been entrusted by Mr. Dongfang to convey an order to you. Please reply upon receipt. Dongfang Chen sent a message through one of the 3 warships on the western route. After receiving the message, Pushin Xiaozi was somewhat embarrassed. Now he could choose to play dumb and pretend that Dongfang Chen couldn't possibly know. However, doing so might mean missing the opportunity to obtain new information. Weighing the pros and cons, he didn't know how to balance them for a moment, so, naturally, he reported it to the Elder Hall. The Elder Hall's reply was, he could reply and find out their next plan. Chapter 598, Finding an Elder Hall. I am Kamida Sayako. What are your instructions, Mr. Dongfang? After receiving approval from the Elder Council, Kamida Sayako replied, Mr. Dongfang said to ensure the safety of the Hungarian warships as much as possible and lure them to the Moscow mainland. When was this order given? Kamida Sayako asked. Early this morning. Kamida Sayako stopped questioning. The Hungarians were just trash, so it didn't matter where they were taken. Dissecting this instruction revealed 2 contradictory keywords, safety and inducement. This indicated that although Dongfang Chen had reached a cooperative relationship with the Hungarians, he was mostly using them since the Elder Council had agreed. Kamida Sayako didn't care and drove them towards the eastern core area of Moscow. Dongfang Chen frowned when he saw Kamida Sayako carry out his order. The actual situation deviated from his expectations. Kamida Sayako did not leave the warship to ask the Elder Council for instructions, but directly executed the order. If she didn't go to the Elder Council, there would be no way to track the specific location of the Elder Council. He guessed that there were 2 possibilities for this result. One was that Kamida Sayako had higher authority. The other was that she and the Elder Council had other means of communication. Undoubtedly, the second possibility was more likely to verify his guess. He quietly activated the electromagnetic shielding function of the Yamato warship. After the function was activated, he ordered the warship to send a new message. Mr. Dongfang orders that if the Hungarian warships arrive at Kashiang, adjust the route and drive them to Zadhoi on the Moscow-India border to join the 27 warships stationed there. Kamida Sayako was confused after receiving the message. What exactly was Dongfang Chen trying to do? If these warships were driven to Zadhoi, they could leave Moscow at any time. It was not far from India, Pakistan and Egara. Moreover, the message itself was very strange. Could Dongfang Chen foresee that the Hungarian warships would pass by Kashiang? This possibility was too low, right? Could it be that he can monitor the internal situation of Moscow? Kamida Sayako began to suspect this matter had to be reported to the Elder Council. However, at this time, she realized that the information could not be sent out. No signal. Kamida Sayako smelled something unusual. Chujo-kun, slow down the pursuit speed and arrange for 5 warships to block the south to prevent them from escaping from the Red Sea. I need to leave for a while, and everything will be decided after I return. Hi. Kamida Sayako hurriedly ordered her warship to turn around and fly towards the Elder Council. Hu Dongfang Chen wiped away a handful of sweat after so much effort. Kamada Sayako was finally fooled now. Dongfang Chen was not clear about what kind of existence the Elder Council of Mado was. Without reference, he could not carry out purposeful reconnaissance if he didn't investigate the situation clearly today. There would be basically no chance to find the altar of Mado. 2 hours later, 12:30 noon, Kamada Sayako arrived at Muinig, a small town in northern Mado. This was basically at the junction with the Oris country. This was a small city located on the edge of the soon-to-be dried-up Salt Sea. Mostly simple bungalows and adobe houses. Kamada Sayako disembarked from the warship and came to a bungalow, reporting to the elder. Dongfang Chen may have the ability to monitor us. The Hall Master Elder was not there, so he reported the situation to the guest elder. Absolutely impossible. Communication signals cannot penetrate here. How can he monitor us? The guest elder did not believe it. Elder, if we were not being monitored, Dongfang Chen would not be so aware of my fleet. Kamada Sayako still insisted on her point of view. He was not too respectful towards the guest elder. Perhaps they have a complete plan. Even we ourselves cannot communicate directly with the outside world. How could Dongfang Chen do it? The elder simply did not believe this would happen. Alright. Now my warship has been shielded and cannot send or receive messages. What do you think we should do next? Kamada Sayako no longer insisted. He also knew that his evidence was insufficient. The Orc-Hungarian warships are not to be feared. Your main task today is to find a way to lure Dongfang Chen's warship to Zarif. The headquarters has already dug a grave for him there. Hi. Kamada Sayako accepted the order and left, quickly returning to the fleet. Dongfang Chen also found the exact location of the Elder Council as he wished. However, he was not clear now that there were as many as 108 such Elder Councils within Mado. According to his understanding, this should be the location of the Mani Sect's headquarters. Fortunately, in order not to expose that he could monitor Mado, he did not choose to attack immediately after Kamada Sayako left. Otherwise, this attack would have had extremely serious consequences. Chapter 599, India and Pakistan send troops. The Elder Hall where Sayako Kamada was located was hidden among a cluster of bungalows. Dongfang Chen had searched this entire area, but found nothing new. This gave him a major headache. The Elder Hall is here, but the Mountie Order's headquarters isn't. Could it be that their main organization structure is also loosely managed? Impossible. If the management were loose, it wouldn't be this efficient and tightly controlled. Dongfang Chen analyzed in his mind. He suddenly remembered that Lingluo had told him that the Elder Hall's location was in Layak. Dongfang Chen looked at the map. Layak was very close to Muinig, only 110 kilometers away. Dongfang Chen immediately ordered the Queen Bee to search Layak as well. Sure enough, a one-story building similar to the Elder Hall in Muinig was also found there. That is to say, there is also an Elder Hall in Layak. Could it be that Mado has many Elder Halls? Dongfang Chen had this doubt, so he called Lingluo. Lingluo, I'm asking you, do you really not know Lingshan? Dongfang Chen asked. He had asked this question before. I only saw him and his master at the Kurdak laboratory last year, and I haven't seen him since, and I don't know him, Lingluo replied. Then is it possible that you and he belong to different Elder Halls? Dongfang Chen asked. There is such a possibility. However, my master has never revealed this aspect to me before. Lingluo was also unsure. Dongfang Chen didn't get any useful information from Lingluo, and things fell into a temporary predicament just then. New developments occurred on the Mado-India border. The India-Pakistan nation had sent troops. A large number of scorpions, mantises, spiders, centipedes, crossed the border and rushed into Mado. The 2,500-kilometer-long border was densely packed. They were like locusts crossing the border, instantly devouring everything in sight. Dongfang Chen was overjoyed. They had come at just the right time. Currently, 27 unmanned warships were stationed in Zakar in the western part of the Mado-India border, and the control was in Dongfang Chen's hands. He immediately mobilized these warships to fly to the eastern hinterland of Mado. The warships flew very slowly. The purpose was to lead these insects into the core area of Mado on the other side. The 20 northern and 17 southern Okhan warships driven by the Great Sun Nation, a total of 37 ships, were still on their way to Zakar. Dongfang Chen had no control over these 37 warships, but he didn't need control. The purpose of the India-Pakistan nation was to attack Okhan, so they would naturally become targets. Just make sure that some of the insects can run towards the core area in order to attract more insects. Dongfang Chen asked Xiaolin to control the warships to traverse back and forth. While traversing and advancing towards the core area in this way, no matter how many Elder Halls you have, no matter where these Elder Halls are distributed. In short, locusts pass through, leaving no grass behind. These insects also have a very practical ability. They can transmit messages to each other. This leads to the fact that even if the insects enter Motto, they will not lose control. The Motto side had to be cautious after learning the news. One or two or a small group alone are not terrible. They can be eliminated in minutes, but such a huge volume, it will be very difficult to eliminate. But suddenly there was a loud noise. Kabush, an important eastern city of Motto, 50 kilometers from the Motto-India border, fell. A towering building that soared into the clouds stood in the center of the city. This building was exactly the same as the Scorpion building in the Lhasa area of Hul country, and the length of the base was close to 10 kilometers. The rise of this huge building directly caused most of the buildings in the Kabush urban area to instantly turn into nothingness immediately afterwards. Large-scale buildings also appeared in the three cities near the border, Sharon, Data, and Chaser. These buildings have similar shapes. It can be seen from the sculptures on the base that they belong to different arthropod systems. In just 1 hour, the insects had crossed the border in advance 50 kilometers. Of course, their attacks were not completely smooth, and many cities also encountered resistance. Several elder halls were destroyed, and the elders had to take action. It's just that no matter how strong the fourth-order mutants are, can one person eliminate the insects in a city? Obviously not. Even if they stand there and let you kill them, you can't kill them all. What's more, the swarming insects are endless and move very fast. There is no time to kill at all. So, the wisest choice is to run away. Contact the India-Pakistan nation and tell them that the matter of borrowing the road can be discussed. We can also assist them in taking down OK Hun, but we ask them to immediately stop the attack. The Pope was anxious at this rate of attack. I am afraid that in the next 20 hours, the entire Motto will become a sea of insects. They still want to hold a sacrificial ceremony. I'm afraid it's not realistic. Chapter 600 Thunderstorm. The news quickly reached India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan only replied with one word, scram. This is a euphemistic translation. In their own language, it's a very uncivilized word, encompassing the triple meaning of fuck, die, and scram. The leader of the Mani sect was furious upon learning of the response. He now faced a situation where, if he didn't display some real strength, his entire plan might be affected. Activate Thunderstorm and crush all those hateful insects, the leader ordered. Yes, an elder obeyed and issued the command. Rumble. A quarter of Motto's southeast was instantly covered in dark clouds, and a huge thunderous sound came from the sky. Dongfang Chen was shocked, as were Tuchus and the Mayan high priest. Did Motto actually have the ability to control the weather? Everyone was in disbelief. Within 10 minutes, the dark clouds in the sky had become very dense, and the ground appeared very dim. However, the four towering buildings on the border were taller than the clouds, with a third of their height still piercing through the stratosphere above the clouds. Snap. After the dark clouds accumulated to a certain extent, a streak of blue lightning pierced through the air and struck the ground directly. The nearby insects, struck by such a powerful current, instantly turned to ashes. Snap, snap. Several more lightning bolts struck down, instantly obliterating many scorpions and praying mantises. Snap, 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 snap. The lightning began to become denser. The scene before them was like hell. The insects continued to rush forward quickly. With no intention of avoiding the lightning became denser and thicker, and a large number of insects were killed, but still, about half slipped through. Does Motto actually have weapons with such great destructive power? Tuchus couldn't help but click his tongue at the sight. It's not entirely unexpected. We've always had very little understanding of them. In my opinion, this is far from their true strength. Dongfang Chen said. Are you saying they have more tricks up their sleeves? Tuchus' eyes widened. Definitely. Don't you find it strange? Since they have such powerful weapons, why have they been hiding their capabilities? Are they afraid of us? Definitely not. Dongfang Chen analyzed. Then what are they trying to do? Tuchus asked. They're probably waiting. Dongfang Chen said. Waiting for what? Waiting for the right opportunity. Dongfang Chen guessed. Opportunity? Tuchus didn't understand. Think about it the other way around. If Motto invaded Egula, what would you do? Tuchus answered without even thinking. Of course, I would unhesitatingly stop them outside the borders. Exactly. Dongfang Chen nodded. Motto has known for a long time that we would unite to stop them from holding the sacrificial ceremony. So why don't they take the initiative and concentrate all their forces to stop us? Are you saying they might be waiting for this day? Tuchus understood somewhat. Very likely. So I guess that Motto isn't eliminating us because the time isn't right, or the conditions aren't ripe. If India and Pakistan hadn't interfered, they probably would have continued to show weakness and delay. Dongfang Chen explained. I understand. They've gone to so much trouble just to wait for the sacrificial ceremony to begin. Touches realized, that's right. If this assumption holds true, then we'll probably have to participate in this sacrificial ceremony. We might even be the sacrifices. Dongfang Chen took the guess one step further. That's very likely. Touches nodded. Our high priest also had another prophecy about the future, the main high priest said. Is that so? What did the high priest say? Dongfang Chen asked. Danger comes from within, the main high priest replied. Dongfang Chen's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. The high priest said that after the sacrificial ceremony, the crisis that will destroy humanity will come from within. He doesn't know what this within is, the main high priest explained. Dongfang Chen naturally understood what the high priest's prophecy meant. The purpose of the serious survivors inducing the Mani people to hold the sacrificial ceremony was probably to initiate some kind of event at this moment. He remembered the information that Koyako Tomita had revealed earlier. She said that the Mani sect held this sacrificial ceremony in order to advance. In other words, in their view, holding this ceremony could gain them greater power. Could there be some connection between this upcoming event and individual abilities? Monka, you went to the final period of Venusian human extinction, didn't you? Can you tell me in detail what the situation was like at that time? Dongfang Chen asked. He guessed that the serious survivors might have used similar tricks before, or that they had always been using the same trick. I know a little, Monka said. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.